From the Owl's Nest Barbecue Research and Development Studio in Ooltewah, Tennessee, it's time for the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show with Steve Ray and his vast array of guests from right here in Ooltewah and from across the barbecue nation. It's time to light the grill, cook the meat, and then repeat. Now live, it's the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show with Steve Ray.
All right. Thank you, Emma Grace, for that great introduction. That's right, folks. The Owl's Nest Barbecue Show is brought to you by Steve Ray's Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct. When you need tires, service, and gasoline, by golly, you need us. And by the complete line of Butcher Barbecue products, rubs, injections, grilling oils, and accessories. Make your next cookout epic with products from Butcher Barbecue. Available locally only at Steve Ray's Midnight Oil in Ooltewah. Happy Thanksgiving Eve, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We've got a locked up, tied up show for you tonight. We've got live and direct from Florida in just a few moments. Rob Bagby from the Swamp Boys barbecue team coming up at 7:35. Ooltewah's very own son, Kenny Stiner. And Kenny's going to talk about Couch's Barbecue. Only been in Ooltewah since 1946. And they have been ranked again in the top 50 barbecue restaurants in the South by Southern Living once again. And that's, folks, that is huge. That is just flipping huge to be ranked among the 50 greatest barbecue restaurants in the South for a second year in a row. And just thinking in Chattanooga, how many barbecue restaurants are in Chattanooga?
I don't know.
Probably about 100. Bear with me tonight, folks. I caught a cold yesterday. We were cooking some turkeys for some customers yesterday, and that cold front came through. And I mean, man, I tell you what, I got a cold that just won't quit. I hardly ever get sick, but we're gonna suffer through it, and that's okay. We're gonna do a little housekeeping right now, matter of fact. All right. Let me tell you who we got coming up for you right now. More than 60 championships. That's right. This guy has got more than 60 barbecue championships under his belt right now. He has competed in more than 300 barbecue contests. He is a Jack Daniels participant in 2018. He was a King of the Smoker participant in 2017. He is a winner on the Barbecue Pitmasters show on Destination America. He hosts one of the top barbecue schools in the nation. In addition to competing in barbecue, he's an educator in Imperial Polk County, Florida. He's a caterer. He's also a barbecue vendor, and he coined one of the greatest phrases in all of barbecue sales, which is the higher the sign, the higher the sales. He is the reigning Florida Barbecue Association Pitmaster and Team of the Year. Folks, welcome to Ooltewah, the one and only Rub Bagby. Rub, how you doing, man? You with us, Rub? I wonder where he went. He was right there a minute ago.
Oh, hang on. It says that you hung up on him.
Oh, no. Let me go get him. Let me get him again. I may have.
Hello.
Did I hang up on you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I did that because you missed one of the greatest introductions you'll ever probably get.
Oh, damn.
But that's okay. Here he is back with us, ladies and gentlemen. But everybody heard us listening and watching online, Rub. How you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on tonight. Thanks.
Well, I want to let everybody know, Rub and I we go back probably about 4 or 5 years. I took one of his barbecue classes, and when he had it in Calhoun in North Georgia, the first barbecue class I ever took. And Rub, the amount of knowledge I gained just from your school was just incredible. And I know that school is going strong. But first, let's get a little history on Rub Bagby. How did it all start for you, Rub, in this barbecue thing? Because you do all facets of it. You do You do the competing, the vending, the catering. You do it all. Plus, in addition to your full-time job as a teacher down in Florida.
Yeah, and actually that's where it started with me. I was asked to help out do a fundraiser at school, and it went very badly. We were selling, we had pre-sold half chickens, and I showed up early in the morning to help the guy cook them, and they were all still frozen, and we handed out blackened, still frozen or undercooked chickens to a bunch of people, and most everybody returned them and wanted their money back. And so it was a complete fiasco. So the guy who had done that said, okay, I'm going to let you be in charge of it next year. So I got online and I started looking around and seeing, just learning, because I had been grilling most of my life, but not barbecuing proper. So I looked it up and saw that there was a fun cook for the FBA, which is coincidentally coming up in 2 weeks now, I think. And I forgot where I saw it. I think it was on Ray Basso's forum, the barbecue forum. And the then president of the FBA had made a post about it, and I replied and asked, what it was about, and he invited me to come and hang out with his team for the weekend. That was Joby Staniland, who was the president, and his team was the Dixie Boys. And I did, and just like most people, I got hooked. I stayed up all night and watched the fire, and we ended up winning grand champion that weekend. And I was hooked hard.
In your first contest, you won.
Yeah, well, I was just there as an observer.
Yeah.
But I begged my way onto the team, and they let me come on, and I came on as a dishwasher and set up and tear down guy. Didn't get to touch the meat, didn't get to do trimming, didn't get to do box building, nothing. I was the third or fourth guy in line, so I had all the crappy jobs.
Yeah,
so
but
I did that for
you got
about
to watch
6 months.
Oh, you got to go with them and follow them around. They kept you on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
they
even
kept me
better.
on.
Well,
I was the do boy. I had all the dirty jobs to do.
Well, there's a lot of dirty jobs at barbecue, but it's people don't realize how easy it is to get hooked on this thing, Rob. Once you start cooking, and the worst thing to do is to be on a successful team. There was a year ago down in Calhoun, Georgia. There was we had a contest down there, and a kid, first contest he ever cooked in, he won third place in one of the proteins, and somebody in the crowd yelled, "He'll have a 40-foot trailer by Tuesday."
That's very true.
Yeah, I mean it gets in your blood. So when did Swamp Boys Barbecue? When was it born?
Swamp Boys was born the end of January 2004.
Wow.
I had been with the Dixie Boys for just about a year. Or no, I'm sorry, a few months. And that was 2003, so just about a year. And watching and learning and suggesting things, seeing stuff that I thought might work. And, hey, Joby, what do you think about this? And he'd like, nah, we're not going to do that. And he eventually, I found out afterwards that his whole goal was not to keep me on as a teammate, but was to get me some education and hooked, and then not kick me off, but push me off and to be my own team. So I did that. I competed. My very first contest was the Lakeland Pig Fest. I did the backyard event because I had never touched the meat still. Yeah. I mean, I was just an observer and a cleanup boy. And so I entered the backyard on a homemade stick burner. And at the time, it was the largest backyard KCBS contest. And it had, 40 some odd teams. That was in 2004, and ended up winning the dang thing.
Oh, no.
And that was really hooked then. It's like, all right, Joby, see you later. I got my own thing going.
Did you cook another backyard event, or did you go pro right after
No, that was my one and only.
Yeah.
I figured if I won that, I didn't need to be in the backyard.
You're sitting there in the audience, and you've cooked a backyard in the backyard division, And of course, they always they always do the backyard people first, and then you walk up there, and if you win in the backyard, you win probably maybe $200-$300, and then the pros come up there and they're winning $2,500, $2,000, and it doesn't take you long. You're thinking, I'm cooking the same thing they're cooking. Why am I messing around down here? Because because they cook just as good in the backyard as they do in the pros half the time. So you might as well just
I know.
You might as well just be a pro and sack up and spend an extra $50 and cooking the pro division.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's 2004. You've been doing it. You've been doing this forever.
Yeah, I'm on. Let's see, 15 years, 16 years,
yeah,
14, coming up on 15.
Well, what's so amazing about your career? I think I read in, I want to say 07, 08, or maybe 08, 09, you were the Florida Barbecue Association Team of the Year for 2 years in a row. Last year, you were the Florida Barbecue Association Team of the Year. That's like, that's, winning that title over that span of over right at 10 years, maybe just a little bit less. That, to me, that shows a lot of stick-to-itness and I guess changing with the times.
Yeah, most definitely changing. I'm stubborn, I guess. I'm slow to change. So I've had a blast every single year, and I've been fortunate. I'm usually, after the first couple of times I got it, I've been up pretty close to the top. I think the lowest I've been was probably 5th, but it's been fun. I mean, you definitely have to change, and you have to know when to change. We came back from I think it was 2009 Jack Daniels, and had first place pork there, and came back with my pork, and I did it, obviously for the next 4, 5, 6 contests, and it just wouldn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking, well, it's got to be a bad table. And it just turned out that FBA and Florida didn't like the pork that I put out in Tennessee. So I finally had to change it and get that ship going in the right direction again.
So how was the Jack for you this year? I read all the results. I can't. You didn't have a horrible finish. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I came in. We got a 7th place call-in pork.
Yeah,
which it's kind of neat because pork is the only category I've been called in. I got a first, a tie for first, and got 2nd and 7th place.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that and came in 31st overall out of a little bit over 100 teams.
Yeah, I think it was 104 there this year.
Yeah,
that's a
so
great.
It wasn't amazing, but it was a good cook, and it was very respectable. So
hey,
I was happy.
Rub, just getting to the Jack is phenomenal. I don't know. Was that your first visit there, or no? Let's see.
That was my fourth
visit, and that to me,
mm-hmm.
just getting there 4 times is incredible. Hey, we're talking with Rub Bagby here on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. If you've got a question for Rub, please ask it on Facebook. My daughter Emma is here. She will read it to you, Rub, and you can answer it. Any kind of questions you've got about cooking turkey, since it is Thanksgiving Eve. I know Rub cakes he cooks. I'm sure he cooks a great turkey. I know he cooks a good prime rib. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But and right now, what place are you in for the 2018 Florida Barbecue Association Team of the Year, Rub?
I'm in 3rd place.
So, how many more contests have y'all got?
1 more.
So, could you possibly score enough to get to number 1?
Maybe if numbers 1 and 2 wrecked into each other on the way.
That'd be a good
thing. And they gave double points.
So so it won't be very bad. Go ahead, Emma. I believe there's a question from John Lufkins.
Yes, it's to Rob. Have you ever had a surprising incident happen at a barbecue contest? How did you overcome it?
That's very funny. He's sitting in the living room.
Oh.
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. Do you want to go ahead and answer this?
Yeah, well, please. Yeah, please, Rob.
So we're at Plant City Pig Jam this past weekend, and John is dating my daughter Jenna, and John came to help out and help prep the ribs for the vending. I had told Woody, my other helper, and Woody was showing him what to do, and I had him trimming the flaps on the ribs, and I told the guys that's good meat. You might want to take it home and cook it. So John was bagging it up, and we put it in a cooler, and he was going to take 2 bags of it home and cook it up this week or whatever. So he did. They left Friday night, and Saturday morning I got up and got things going and was ready to start prepping my chicken at 10 o'clock, and my chicken wasn't there. And it turns out Johnny Boy had mistakenly picked up my bag of chicken and taken it home with him, thinking it was one of his bag of trimmings. And so I had no chicken at 10 o'clock with a 12 o'clock turn-in. So
what did you
started
do?
Going around asking. What's that?
What did you do?
Well, I started going around asking other teams, hey, you guys got any spare chicken you're not going to use? And of course, nobody brings spare chicken. You hate to clean what you have to clean. So I was just thinking, fine, I'll just take a DQ on this one. I'm done. And turns out my wife was driving our friends in to help with the vending, and I called John. I said, "Do you happen to have my chicken?" And he just kind of realized that he did. And they were just going into the parking lot, so she dropped them off. She and John turned back around and drove probably 15 miles to his house and 15 miles back, and they may have broke a speed limit or two.
I'm sure. Got
back with the chicken, and, I thought, okay, well, it's now 11 o'clock. I can throw it in the Traeger grill, crank it up to 500, and we'll be fine. But it turned out that when John went home with it that Friday night, he threw my chicken in the freezer. So they have a bag of my frozen competition trimmed chicken. And my wife was quick enough to think, well, let's separate it. They put it into a couple of different bags, turned on the seat heaters in her car, and broke out some of those chemical hand warmer packs. And they both leaned back on frozen chicken with the seat heaters and the hand packs going, and got it to me right at 11 o'clock. It took 15 minutes to get it on the rack, and then I let it rip for 45 minutes at 500 degrees.
And don't tell me you won the chicken category. Please don't tell me that.
No, I didn't. I actually came in 24.
Thank goodness.
But it was better. It was better than DQ.
Better than
came
DQ.
in 4th overall. But yeah, that was the time that I overcame a challenge. I know that's where he was going with that one. Thank you, John.
Now that's I've never heard of, I've heard about, leaving your lighter, not having a fire starter, not having tongs, but I've never heard about not having the meat. I mean, just being gone.
No, that's.
I mean, when you looked in the cooler for it, because when you pack up, what little I was around you at the school, you seemed like a very organized person, and to look in there,
you've got to be organized.
Yeah. Hey, talk about your vending a little bit. You're really into that, aren't you?
No, I can't stand it, to be honest.
But you do it all the time.
Well, we do it at about 4, probably 5 contests that are close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, we did it because I had to have the barbecue had to fund itself. Amy and I decided early on that we weren't going to take any of our paycheck to do this barbecue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to have to generate money outside of work to pay for the barbecue stuff. So early on, we did it at the ones that were close to us as a way to make some money so I could enter the next contest.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to, we were fortunate that we put out some pretty good food, and we got a pretty good following. And over the years, it just got to be to where we didn't want to leave that money on the table, so to speak. If you know you can make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 at a contest, it's kind of hard to turn your back on it. So we've stuck with it, and we still do it. I enjoy the camaraderie with my family and friends, but the work, it just absolutely kills me.
Yeah,
I'm doing all the setup by myself and most of the prep by myself, and put all the meat on, and usually take all the meat off at least for one day.
Yeah.
So and I'm looking at my friends who are cooking, 3 racks of ribs and 2 butts and 1 brisket, and I'm cooking 600 pounds of meat. I'm thinking, man, this is killing me.
How do you get away from the vending part, Rob, and go to the contest side? Because I've got some friends here in Chickamauga that vend a lot at contests, and they always look a lot busier than I do. How do you break away?
Well, you just have to start early. I mean, vending days are contests where I'll actually take the Friday off of work. Normally, I just I leave after work and drive, up to 8 hours to get to a contest late Friday night. But for vending, I pretty much have to take off Friday and get everything set up and squared away. And I'll get the Friday night food prepped and ready to sell when they show up, and then count on my helpers to prep everything for Saturday. I'll end up having to put it on, like in Plant City, I put on 60 racks of ribs at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But, you get very little sleep, and it's very easy to neglect the competition side of it. And come Saturday, I totally turn my back to the vending because I have to. I can't. Otherwise, I've learned that I'll be there selling sandwiches, waiting for the guys to show up to help out. And in the meantime, everything I'm doing on the competition side takes a big hit.
Yeah, and plus you've got a double cleanup between the trailer for your competition and the vending site, and both are just atrocious jobs.
Oh, it doubles up everything. All the work is doubled up.
Well,
it's a good payoff.
Yeah, the money's good. The few times I've done it, the money's pretty good, but it's not. I'm like you. It's not something that I enjoyed. It's too tough. It's too tough. But I don't score good in the contest anyway, so I don't know if that affects my scores or not. But hey, your school is I had a great time, and you're a great instructor. You really take the time with all the students to answer all the questions. How is the school going, and do you see expanding it any to a few more dates during the year, maybe getting up towards North Georgia again, Chattanooga, maybe somewhere between Knoxville and Chattanooga, or Nashville and Chattanooga?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I could definitely do that. The school is going very well. And the school is evolving as I evolve. When you took it, I was doing everything low and slow. And as I've changed now, I'm doing pretty much everything hot and fast. But in the school, I teach both low and slow and hot and fast. So it's getting more inclusive of everything. But I've always been open to travel with my school. I think I've probably done it in 12 states, and Sao Paulo, Brazil, and The Hague over in the Netherlands. So it's been all over the place.
Wow.
And I love doing that, flying in.
Hey, Robert,
yeah.
Are you getting just people that want to be professional barbecue pit masters and teams, or do you ever get any just backyard people that want to just learn to cook better, to better their skill for their family?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, I don't know, I've probably done 30 or 40 classes. I would say about 30 or 40% are backyard guys who have no intention of barbecue or competing. Maybe 30 or 40% are guys who want to compete, but they haven't really started. And maybe 10, 15% are the higher end competition guys, and throw in a couple of percent now and then for people who want to open a food truck or a restaurant even.
I've often thought the hot and fast method that's so popular now would do. I know you can't put as much meat on a drum as you can need for catering, but there's got to be some sort of a middle ground that you can teach on a smoker and still obtain a high temperature for vendors and caterers to learn.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you can do it. Like I've got a little hickory, a couple of them, but they say not to run it over 300 or 3 1/4. But to me, that's hot and fast is 300 or 3 1/4. And I tell you, it puts out an amazing product. It's very, very good. If it wasn't producing for me, I wouldn't be doing it. So it's good. It's very, very good barbecue.
Now you're cooking on drums now, aren't you?
Yeah, I have 2 of the Sweet Smoke Q QDS drums that I absolutely love. I'm cooking on those, and I'm also cooking on a couple of Traegers. So I have kind of the extremes, the both ends, if you would, of the barbecue grill side.
Now who got you hooked up on the Traeger thing? Because that's that's going from the old hickories to the offset to a drum, now to a pellet smoker. You're all over the smoker world now. You've covered it all almost.
I know, I am. And I tell you what, it's because I've been barbecuing for 15 years, and if I've learned that if I keep cooking on the same old thing over and over, after a while it gets stale and boring, and I just want to mix it up and see what else I can do and kind of have some fun with it. So at every contest, I'm actually cooking on 5 different pits. I got 5 pits going, not because I have to, but just because it's fun and challenging, and I like it. It produces.
Now, on those drums, do you use a different drum for each protein that you cook on it, Rub? Like if you're doing a brisket and a butt, does each protein have its own drum?
It sure does, and that's something that I learned the hard way. I definitely keep cooking my brisket on the same drum. Like I won't even, from contest to contest, I won't switch the drums between proteins, because I've learned that you're dripping fat, and it leaves a distinct smell or odor in there that's special to that protein. So if I were to cook a butt on my brisket drum, it would pick up a brisket flavor to it, which doesn't go over very well with the judges. So I definitely have dedicated drums that I don't swap.
So you do
between proteins.
So you do a brisket on a drum. You do I guess a pork butt on a drum.
Right.
And then do you do your ribs and chicken on pellet on the Traegers?
I do the ribs on a little hickory, like a CTO charcoal run, and I do the chicken on the Traeger, and the ribs go on the Traeger. Everything ends up on the Traeger at some point. Okay. Those Traegers are so rock solid.
Yeah.
I don't know what they used to be like, but man,
is it not amazing? The number one, the job marketing those people have done, but number 2, the acceptance of the public to that product. I mean, everybody knows what a Traeger is, and it's almost taken. Like a generic term for like Kleenex. It's everything that's
exactly.
They say a pellet smoker. It's Traeger.
That's what I was going to say. It's like the word Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's I think what it is they are so easy to use, and they put out such a good product that it opens up high-level barbecuing to pretty much anybody. I mean, literally with these, I've got the Timberline 850s, and they're programmable, and it's very, very intuitive, because I'm not a computer geek yet by any means. And, it just prompts you. It says, okay, what's cycle 1? Well, I want these pork butts to cook at 275 degrees until, and then it says for time or until temperature. And you say, okay, till temperature. And you put in the temp, and then it tells you, or asks you what you want it to do next. So it's just so easy. You really can't screw up with them.
You ought to get on that. You ought to get on that traveling Traeger team with Doug Scheiding and that bunch.
Oh, that would be fun.
That would
You know, I retire from teaching in about 7 months, and I'm thinking about taking this barbecue stuff seriously then, see what I can do.
Yeah, there's so many facets of it that you need to learn. Let's move on to 2019. Let's see, in 7 months you'll be retired. That puts you in, well, the summer. So what's 2019? Are you going to take a break from cooking, or are you really going to jump into it a little as hard as you can?
You know, honestly, I'll probably stay doing about what I'm doing now. It's, you know, I think this year I probably did about 30 contests, and that's a bunch to do by yourself and to be away from home.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely push my sauce more, try to get it out into more locations, and I promised myself to have my mustard sauce ready before the end of the year, and I got to get on that. So I hope to introduce that in 2019.
So
I want to.
I know you've got the Swamp Boys sauce. What else is in the pipeline? Do you have any rubs or anything yet?
I have a rub out. It's Rub's Original Rub, and that's
original.
what I'm using on my turkey.
Yeah. So
fantastic on turkey and ribs.
So then, what's the website if somebody wants to go to it and buy a couple of them?
It's pretty easy. It's swampboys.com.
Oh, that's simple.
And from there, you'll see a link to the store, or you can head out to we have lots of distributors or dealers scattered across the country and over in the UK even.
Wow. That Europe's a bustling place, isn't it?
Yeah.
For barbecue.
That would be a fun place to go and compete a bunch in, because it's brand new, relatively new over there. And those guys have huge enthusiasm. And, I've competed once when I was over there after I taught that class, and it was so much fun. Everybody's just like here, super nice, but they have better beer than we do.
Rub Bagby, you don't know how much I appreciate you joining me on this Thanksgiving Eve, and thank you for sharing that chicken story with your maybe future son-in-law. But if he keeps taking the chicken, I'd say he's on the way out.
Yeah, I told him I'll forgive him once, but if it happens again, we got a problem.
Was it Kathy Lee Gifford said, "Forgive the first time, second time get a lawyer," right? Well, Rub, thank you so much. You have a great Thanksgiving with your family, and thanks for spending some time with me and Emma tonight. We sure do appreciate it.
Steve and Emma, I appreciate you having me, and you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving as well. And thank you.
You bet.
I had fun.
We'll talk again soon, Rub. Thank you so much. Rub Bagby, ladies and gentlemen, from Florida. He is the reigning Florida Barbecue Association pitmaster and team of the year. All right, we're going to roll over here, and we are going to, we are going to get set up, and let's see. We are going to get a hold of Mr. Stiner right now. We're going to talk with Kenny Stiner from Couch's Barbecue right here in Ooltewah. Kenny will be with us in just a moment. Everybody, thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
Well, let me put this on speakerphone, Steve, where I can hear.
Okay, I'm with you. I understand.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you great, Kenny. You sound great. Are you in the pits right now cooking over at Couch's Barbecue?
Actually, I just left. We just took off one batch of turkeys, fixing to put another batch on. So I got through baking pies and come home for a little bit of a break. I'm tired.
You know, Kenny, I was I read about barbecue, an awful lot, and I came across a great article about you guys. And again, Southern Living has ranked Couch's Barbecue in the top 50 barbecue restaurants in the South. And being being what you are, a humble human being, what does that mean to you and your family to know that you are in the greatest company of barbecue probably in this nation, because that includes all the barbecue in North Carolina all the way to Texas, and there's some pretty good food between there.
Yeah, that's quite an honor. I'm surprised they could even find us. I mean, there's a lot of people here in Ooltewah don't even know we exist. And to think that we end up in Southern Living magazine in their 50th anniversary back in 2016, and then in the top 50 this time, and then we were in Chili Peppers magazine in 2004, and I don't even know how these places find us, to be honest with you, Steve.
Well, they got these guys that travel all over the nation, and all they do is, write about small restaurants, small barbecues. There's a fellow right now, Kenny, his name is Adrian Miller. He's traveling the country, writing about barbecue that was, founded and still practicing by African Americans. So there's all kinds of people out there that are looking for people like you. But Kenny, not everybody impresses them like the folks over at Couch's Barbecue. And the funny thing is, let me get your picture up here on the screen real quick. Let's see here. I was good at this a little bit ago. I bet I got it right now. Open anyway. There you go. There's my picture of Kenny Stiner right there. There's a good picture of you right there. That when they come to your restaurant, number one, that you don't know who they are. Number two, you impress them. And Kenny, you can't prepare for, the guys that show up from the Michelin, from the Michelin star, so to speak, because you don't know who they are. What do you stress at your restaurant to make the people treat everybody like they are a food writer and a food critic?
Well, hopefully all my employees try to treat the customer with respect and try to give them good service, I hope. And we try hard, to keep the product the same each and every time you come. We've been doing it the same way, cooking on a brick pit. I know everybody's using stainless steel cookers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought one and we tried it back several years ago. It just didn't get the same flavor as the old brick pit. Like I didn't like it. Right. Some people didn't know it, some people did, but we keep it the same way we did since we first opened up in 1946. We don't change anything.
And what makes your barbecue unique? And a lot of people, I've been eating there for 30 years, and I mean, you probably don't remember, but a couple of years ago, my friend Dan Grease and I went over there for lunch, and you were cooking, and you were cooking hams. And I said,
that's different.
I said, what are you doing to do with those hams, Kenny? And you looked at me like I was stupid, because I was. He goes, that's our barbecue. And I said, but those are hams, because being the not so educated person that I am, I thought all barbecue was pork butt. And then it hit me like a hatchet right between the eyes that is how you get the unique presentation of sliced barbecue.
Yeah, it is. We, everybody used Boston butts and shoulders.
Right.
We've always used hams, and the thing about our meat it's different from most barbecue. It's a unique barbecue, and I don't guess everybody likes it, but because they don't expect it when they bring our barbecue out. They look at it and think they expect sauce and all this stuff to be poured all over it. Well, you can cook meat in an oven or boil it in a pot and put sauce on it and call it barbecue.
Right.
But cooking these hams it's not greasy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sliced thin. There's no fat, no gristle. You can eat everything you put in your mouth.
Right.
And people kind of, when they see it, I get tickled when we have a new customer that comes in. We put lettuce and tomato on a barbecue sandwich, which is, people think, yuck, put slaw on a sandwich. But And new customers, one of the first things they'll do is put sauce on it. But if I personally wait on the table, and I know he's a new customer, and he asks me what to order, I tell him to try our barbecue sandwich. I say, no, it's going to be different. I say, we put a hot sauce. We can fix it mild, medium, or hot. And what makes it is how much we put on there in the variation of the heat. And I said, but now we put lettuce, tomato on the sandwich. I said, I know that sounds funny on barbecue. But I said, try it. I said, if you don't like it, I'll bring out slaw or whatever you want to put on it. And I said, don't put sauce on it. Try it first like it is. Because originally, when my aunt and uncle started that place. So originally, they weren't any barbecue sauce on the table, none. And that's the only way you could order it. We didn't even have coleslaw back in there. Till my mother started running it in the 60s, all we had was barbecue sandwiches, hamburgers, all a variety of different sandwiches, but we didn't have beans, slaw. We didn't have anything. So we didn't, you didn't have a choice of what we was going to put on it. It comes with lettuce and tomato on it. But it does make it a unique sandwich, and it is different.
Oh, it's not only different, it's delicious. And like you say, it's not oily, it's not greasy. Now the hams that you cook, Kenny, they're raw hams, correct?
Correct, fresh hams, yeah.
Fresh hams. And now I was cooking at the gas station today for a buddy of mine, and him, Bucky McCauley. And I said, Bucky, go get a fresh ham, and let's try to cook this thing, because we tried it last year and we were a failure. And I said, I think I've got it. I think I've got the recipe this year. And we did it. And he texted me right before I came on the internet show, and he said, the ham is not good. so I'm getting good at cooking fresh hams that aren't good. But tell me, what do you do to get it good? Because I mean, I injected mine. I put a lot of rub on it. We cooked it low and slow. I mean, I thought I did.
We don't do any of that stuff.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Plan B.
Yeah. Actually, it's the fact I know about these cookers. I got some experience with cookers. We got a cooker. We do some things on the cooker. But I don't know. There's something about cooking it on a hot coal on a brick pit. It adds a char to that outside edge that you can't get.
You're right.
You can't get that on one of these cookers. And we based it with sauce as we're cooking it, so it's it's just totally different. And I don't think you could get that flavor any other way than doing it the way we do it. To be honest, now I don't know how it can be done.
Well, I know I can't do it. I'm gonna have to come over there and watch you do it again. Now the pits that you use, they're the old brick pits are right in there. And if you go by, if you've never been by Couch's Barbecue, they're on Old Lee Highway. In what I guess it used to be called Summit, Kenny. I guess we still call it Summit with all the
with all people do. People from around here originally, but I still call it Summit.
Yeah.
That was when my aunt and uncle built that place in 1946. Steve, that was the main highway.
Right.
If you was going north or south, they actually even there's probably nobody out here that'll remember, but they actually had a little motel that to the right of the restaurant, kind of back behind the restaurant a little bit. They had a little motel that it didn't have but maybe 8 units or so, 8 or 10. It was small, but so that was really a traveled highway back in the day.
Oh, absolutely, it was.
But now after the freeway, it's pretty much just cut off. People don't use it much anymore. Well, they do now.
Now they do now. Kenny, Ooltewah is
they don't have a choice. There's such a congestion in Ooltewah anymore. They have to try to find some way around it.
And you know what? I'll bet all the subdivisions that have popped up over there in that area. I bet people that move in, especially if they're not from Ooltewah, they probably come into your restaurant and just go, "Oh my God, this is perfect." It's like they move into a place that's got a throwback restaurant, and they're probably thrilled to death.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, like I say, the way we cook stuff and do stuff, we haven't changed it in all these years. I mean, it's done this, and that's why it's the consistency of it, because it's, you know, we do it the same way we've always done it. We don't try to change it.
Now I had a discussion today with another friend, Alf Selvage, and he was wanting me to ask you about your slaw recipe.
Okay, is that the hot slaw or coleslaw?
I guess the coleslaw. He didn't say anything about the hot slaw, but apparently I've had slaw. I always get slaw on my barbecue when I come there, and it's good. I mean, it's great. But I'm not one of those guys that say I've got to go home and replicate this. If I want to eat it, I just go over to your place and get it. But what makes it what makes it so special?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Have you ever tried it with lettuce and tomato on it?
Yes, I have. I'm just a slaw guy. I'm just a slaw guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the slaw is so good.
What about the hot slaw?
I've never had the hot slaw.
Yeah, okay.
I've got
a sandwich, especially if you like hot slaw, you know, like hot foods. That hot slaw adds a lot of flavor to it. It's good.
Yeah, so I don't eat hot food though.
Yeah, you know, as far as those recipes on that, you know, nobody knows how to make a hot slaw but me and Ken. and actually, the barbecue sauce either. Just me and Ken's the only one knows how to make it.
Hey, tell the story about when I think it was your uncle that you worked for. I think you worked in the kitchen, and about slicing the hams, and then he was tell that story, because this is a classic. Yeah. Because I know everybody listening out of town and out of the state watching and listening, that I know it's a good conversation for you. But Kenny's got a great story about how one person resisted progress, and when he saw an opportunity, he took it. Tell that story, Kenny. It's a great story.
Yeah, my uncle, me and him, we used to slice all that by hand with a knife, and it took me and him. And back then we only had pork barbecue. We didn't have chicken and beef. So I mean, we're talking about slicing a tremendous amount of meat every day.
Yeah. And
by hand, and it took hours to do that. So my uncle got sick. I actually owned a restaurant then. I rented the building from my uncle. The original start, you know, the guy that really started the barbecue place. So I rented the building from him, and he got sick, and he wasn't able to work for a few weeks. Well, Hobart would come out with a slicer that had an attachment to it with a tube where you could put a ham down in a tube and I could get the very same thing that I was doing with a knife with this automatic slicer. And back then that slicer cost $1,800. That was like buying a car.
Right.
I just barely could afford to buy it. And so anyway, I started using this thing, and I thought, wow, this is the grandest thing that's ever happened. And so my uncle, he got to where he was able to come back to work. So he told me one day, he said, he called every kid Pete. So he said, hey, Pete, he said, I'm ready to come back to work. He said, I can start work Monday. And I said, well, Uncle Will, I said, I really don't need you to cut meat anymore. I said, I bought this automatic slicer. And he said, I said, I just don't really need you because I can do this slicer, so I don't need you to cut it anymore. And he looked at me and he said, well, he said, here's the way it is. He said, I got to make some money, so I can either cut meat or I can go up on your rent. And I said, I'll see you Monday morning.
See you Monday morning, and I'll show you how to run that slicer.
That's right. And it took him a while to get used to the slicer, but he did learn to appreciate it. It made it a lot easier on us.
So when did you actually take ownership of Couch's Barbecue? How old were you?
Well, I graduated from Mobile High School in 1972, and my daddy was in the construction business, but he had gotten disabled and wouldn't work. So I had a friend that was a contractor, so I went to work with him for a few weeks. I had worked for him while I was in high school in the summer. And one day he told us to go grade a garage. They had left a big hump in the middle of this garage, and it was church. And we was out there with pick and shovel trying to grade that garage. So we finally you know, at the end of the day, I mean, it was very hard work.
Yeah.
Because the church was so hard. So when we got through grading it at the end of the week, I told them boys, I said, well, I ain't got to do this for a living. I said, I'm going to work for my mama. So my mom run the restaurant then, so I went to work for her. And me and her run it. I worked for her for a few years. Then me and her did a partnership. We went in partners together with the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Then after a few years of partnership, she got to retirement age, and I got the restaurant, and I rented it from my uncle, and my uncle rented it for him for a long time. And as he feeble and got bad there at the end, he told me, he said, Kenny, I want you to buy the restaurant. And I said, okay, Uncle Will. I said, I'll do it. And he said, well, wait a minute. He said, you got to buy the restaurant, the property, and the houses. Well, they was 13 acres of ground and about 3 or 4 houses in the restaurant. And I told him, I said, I can't afford to buy it. And he said, you've got a choice. You can buy it or I'll sell it to somebody else.
Now, where were the houses, Kenny? Were they up behind the restaurant?
It's where that's where the subdivision is now. Where that Rose Glen. Rose Glen. Yeah, they were older houses, and some of them I just done away with. I mean, I rented them for years, but they'd gotten in bad shape, and then I sold the property to the developer, and he knocked the houses down. So, and then I tell you what, Mr. Couch forcing me to buy the 13 acres and the restaurant and the houses. I didn't know it at the time, but he did me the biggest favor probably anybody's ever done for me.
And Couches since then has continued to operate and grow and flourish in good times, in bad times, in even times and odd times. It's the standard. It's the standard bearer of Ooltewah, Kenny. I remember one time we were sitting around the gas station, and somebody had asked me how many years I'd been there, and I told them, and I said, and they said, well, you must be the oldest business in Ooltewah, and I said, no, I said not by far, and we sat there and we thought about it, and we came up that I was number 3, and then more and more people came in the shop and we were talking about it. And I got, and believe it or not, I got moved out of the top 20 in about 35 minutes. and Couch's Barbecue.
You've probably moved up since then, those days.
Yeah, but Couch's Barbecue was always in the top 5, and it's still remained. It's what makes you so unique is it's still family run, and it's still run by the same people, and very little has changed. And especially the main thing of the barbecue is it has remained unchanged. And to me that to me that's fascinating, because you know yourself, barbecue has experienced this astronomical growth in popularity, in research. Everybody wants to know about the different people that started barbecue now. Everybody, wants to know the origin of it. And is that something that you were always interested in, or is that something that you just always, that's just what I do? I'm Kenny. Do you even think of yourself as a pit master?
Not really. I mean, what we do and the way we cook it, they are definitely a skill to doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
And my uncle taught me. So, and then I taught my son. So it's definitely, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of know how to do it that particular way. So, but for years and years, I never even tried anybody else's barbecue, because if we ever went out and eat, I never ate barbecue, because I was around barbecue every day.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that, because I must confess, when I go to Couch's Barbecue, I always get the chicken fried steak with white gravy. So, and folks, I'm gonna tell you, that's the best food on earth. I'll kid you not. It is the best food on earth.
Appreciate it.
And those pies that you make are just they're off the chain, man.
Yeah.
They're just
man.
off the chain.
I started baking pies this morning when I got there. I baked pies all day long till 4 o'clock this evening. For Thanksgiving, people ordering pies.
Now, did you have now? Were you out there cooking? I know you cook turkeys when people bring them. And real quick,
Yeah,
how do you not get the turkeys mixed up? I know people bring you hundreds of turkeys. How do you not get them mixed up?
We number them. We mark them when we put them on the pit. We got a way to tag them.
Oh, okay.
So we got a system. We don't have any problem with it.
Because
I'll tell you a funny joke.
Bucky and I were cooking too today, and we got them mixed up 4 times.
I was going to tell you a funny story about a turkey. A friend of mine somebody had brought a little bitty turkey. I mean, it wasn't even a turkey. It was like a little Cornish hen thing.
Uh-huh.
And this friend of mine, he brought in this large turkey, for us to smoke. We're smoking them for Thanksgiving. So he comes to pick his up. So I went in there and I got that little Cornish hen thing and brought it out there. And he looked at it funny and he said, "Is that mine?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That smoker really shrinks them." But to see his look on his face, it was amazing.
I bet that's a good one, because those Cornish hens, they look just like a turkey. I cooked one yesterday, and I held it in my hand, took a picture, and I said, "This is what happens when you buy your turkeys at Aldi's. They shrink right up."
Yeah.
Well, Kenny.
Well, it's good to have fun with it too.
Oh, absolutely it is, Kenny, and congratulations again for being in the top 50 of Southern Living's top 50 barbecue restaurants in the South. That's an incredible feat, and I wish there was some way that could get all y'all together and get a group picture, because that is barbecue. I am serious as a heart attack. You are barbecue royalty in this nation, and just to think that we have you just right down the street here in Ooltewah, really, we are so lucky to have you and your family doing what y'all do for all of us in Ooltewah.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great Thanksgiving, and tell all the Steiners and all the family we said hey, and we'll see you at the gas station. All right, we'll see you at the restaurant.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much, Kenny. You bet. Thanks, Kenny Stiner from Couch's Barbecue, folks. The top 50 barbecue restaurants in the South, Couch's Barbecue is in it. If you want great real pit hickory smoked barbecue, Couch's Barbecue is where you get it. It's still done over the brick pits. You can go in if you've not been there. They're on Lee Highway. They're kind of like between the trestle and the stoplight and Supreme Restaurant Equipment. They're right in that little area, and you can go in there. You can watch the pits. You can take pictures. They don't mind. It's just a unique place. And do yourself a favor and go by there and have lunch. You'll be better for it, I promise you. All right, Emma, we got to go. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the help. I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too.
You think I'll see you tomorrow for Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
Probably will. I'll probably see you in just a few minutes, won't I?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to the Owl's Nest Barbershop. We'll have a great show for you here next Wednesday. Thanks to Rub Bagby from Swamp Boys Barbecue for joining us, and thank you, Ken Stiner, for joining us as well. And we will see you right back here at 7 o'clock next Wednesday on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. Have a great Thanksgiving. Tell somebody you love that you love them, and we'll see you next week.